in the classroom. You are a student athlete first. And so that student that is very important. And, if as long as you're working hard and you're engaging with your teachers and you're engaging to make sure that you're doing everything you can in the classroom, we'll all be very supportive of you, of all of our student athletes. But the effort in the classroom is the first and foremost thing that will be required of any student athlete on campus.
Great stuff. It's how do you sign up for baseball? So I guess from my understanding, right, when you're going through the admissions process into acceptance into registration, you essentially are filling out final forms, which we can get into more, not to worry about now, but you're designating what you're interested in, and then you're communicated there. Can you talk to, coming in as a freshman, how do I sign up for these sports?
Yeah, so in like Matt said, in the registration process, you'll sign up for all of your activities, including all your sports. And what we'll do is we'll take the signups, take the emails out, and then communicate directly with anyone that has signed up for those sports. And that usually happens during the fall semester. At least engage with you. Just make sure that you still are interested, and go from there. But yeah, that all happens during the registration process. And then our coaches communicate on the back end once school has started.
Great stuff.
One. Yeah. Wanted to know if any of the fall and winter sports clash.
The section has done a really good job of having the calendars try to not to overlap as much, especially for freshmen and our lower levels. Our goal is to try to end the season so that our students can do tryouts or move on to their next sport for the next season. The time where you have the most overlap is for playoffs. And if your varsity team makes playoffs and goes far, our soccer team who made the NorCal final last year, they played all the way until the beginning of March. So you had guys, some of our students who were going to go run track or go play rugby. They weren't able to move on to their next sport, but they were playing in NorCals and winning a section title. And so really the overlap comes from playoffs, and we do our best to make sure that our lower levels end so that our student athletes can move on to their next sport as well. So yeah, there is some overlap, but we try to make it very minimal on the lower levels. It just comes from our teams succeeding. So you can't, it's always a good thing when our teams go far in playoffs. And so it's definitely a trade-off that we understand, but our athletes really enjoy that experience of playoffs. So it makes it all worth it.
Awesome. Right. So, Hank, you're getting we got a lot of questions coming through. And I just wanted to say that I know we have scheduled 30 minutes for this session, but we will be doing a deeper dive info session in the future with Hank, maybe a couple of coaches, maybe some athletes in the future. So if we don't get your questions today, Hank's a great resource. We're a great resource. The website's a great resource to get some of your questions answered. But let's just keep going down the list. I have a few here regarding baseball. It's when will baseball practice or workouts start? Who is the freshman baseball coach? How many people try out for baseball usually, and how many make the team? So to lump that all in, I'd say as a freshman, Hank, last year, let's go by a normal year. But on average, how many guys go out for a team? And we didn't make any cuts on the freshman team last year. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or am I speaking out of bounds?
Yeah. So last year we did not make any cuts on the freshman team. We had, I believe, I'll go back and look at my numbers as well. I believe we had about 26 try out for the freshman team. All of them made it. Our freshman coach is Quinn Gregory. He's actually was a varsity assistant coach for several years, and we value development. Our lower levels we look at as developmental programs to then put you in a position to, once you get to varsity, is to be able to compete. And we still like our lower level teams competing, but it's really more about development. And it was very valuable to have a varsity assistant go down and be the freshman head coach this past year. So, in a normal year, they'll start sometime with voluntary stuff in terms of field work and other things in January, but really practice tryouts don't start until the first week of February. And that's when, so that's tryouts. And then after that, games start normally at the beginning of March.
One more, another question coming in here. If there are any clinics for students who didn't play a sport previously coming in for incoming freshmen, specifically volleyball was one referenced here.
Yeah, and I want to there's a couple of questions here talking about preparation for sports coming in, whether there's summer leagues, opportunities for training and understanding coming into a sport.
Yeah, from a volleyball specific standpoint, obviously normally it is in the spring, and so our volleyball coach will do, in the past year, she would set up a net outside on the lower fields and it would kind of be an open gym setting so anyone could show up and participate. And so we'll do that in the fall for the normal spring. And then what we'll do is all of our coaches will engage at some point with giving resources, whether it's water polo, whether it's basketball. They do a really good job of providing resources to our incoming students, and that'll all happen after registration. Normally in the month of May is when we start getting that information out to our incoming freshmen.
And I would say too, having played on the soccer team and coming in and playing there, it's staying active, learning new techniques and tricks and working out and communicating. Once you're on our campus and you're a part and you're trying out for those freshman teams and those non-cut sports, it's just seeing the students and hearing from the students that try water polo for the first time and have a passion for it, or rugby or lacrosse, and the learning that happens and the development that happens at freshman year to move up and then, to literally grow as an athlete and grow as a person, growing those inches and then competing on the varsity level. There's that development happens and that learning that happens on campus. I have Jordan Hodges is a swimmer, and I absolutely love the questions you're firing our way. Who is the swim coach? And is it divided into freshman, JV, and varsity? Do we have a freshman swim team? We do. Or
the section,
we have a freshman.
Yeah, so the section runs a frosh soft championship and a varsity championship. But the team itself competes as one. So the swim coach is Mr. Mike Solander. He is a social studies teacher on campus. And he's been with us for a while, and he's great. He does a great job of engaging with our students. But yeah, so a normal meet is run just the team all together. And the greatest part about swimming is your time's your time. And if you're going to be faster than some of the juniors and seniors, you'll be moved up and put on those relays and all that. So being a swimmer myself, as a freshman, I outdid some seniors at my school, and that's the best part about swimming is you can't really question the time. So based on what your time is will be based on kind of if you're competing at the frosh soft level sections or the varsity level.
Awesome. And as we move into that the 1:30 time limit, Hank, if you're available to go a little bit over, I wanted to make sure development of all of our athletes. We have a weight room and a weight facility, and we have athletic trainers on staff. I know we've made some hires and grown that team, and we're offering correct me if I'm wrong, the athletic training and the sports medicine programming and building that out. Really excited to see that. Can you speak to weight training? You come in and you can develop yourself in our world-class weight training facility to get stronger.
Yeah, so a few changes that we've made. We've essentially combined our PE department and our athletic department this past year. So I oversee both. And what we were able to do with that is we were able to hire a full-time athletic trainer. We had a great group of athletic trainers before, but they would switch off days. And so having someone that's going to be here every day is super important because now our head athletic trainer can check in during flex period, someone's flex on Monday and their lunch on Tuesday and right before practice on Wednesday. And it gives us having someone on campus is really important. It's Miss Jamie Ralph. She joined us this summer. She is from Sacramento, been in the Catholic school realm of Sacramento her entire life, and so it's really great to have her here. It's with that, she teaches 2 sports medicine classes that we're going to develop a sports medicine internship program along with that. And then our weight room, our weight room's upstairs above our locker rooms. And our sports performance coordinator, Coach Nationalis, he does a really good job of understanding that there's development, right? From a freshman to a varsity athlete, you can still be doing weight training, but you can be doing it in a way that's going to develop you and not hinder you moving forward. There's obviously a lot of studies about doing too much weight training too early. And so we do a lot of body weight, kettlebell, low impact things with our lower levels in terms of core strength and all just functional movement. And then obviously as we go, it becomes more, we really look at the whole athlete, the whole person to make sure that we're doing right by all of our athletes and curtailing our different training programs based on development and age and kind of where they're at in their athletic careers.
And we had another question here about the lacrosse schedule. I know it's a spring sport, but if you can, elaborate a little bit more about lacrosse.
Yeah, so the lacrosse normally starts in February. They play mainly on the weekends for their travel. They travel down to the Bay Area quite a bit to face some of those elite CCS and NCS teams. Normally we go on a trip down to San Diego to play some San Diego teams over Easter break. And really, so they do a really good job of having a competitive schedule. It's a hard schedule. It's not an easy one. We could easily play different teams and win all our games, but we like to challenge ourselves. It's the whole development thing. It's pushing our athletes to the limit to get better and to develop. And so our lacrosse program does a really good job of putting our schedules together to do that. And usually lacrosse season ends in the beginning of May.
Awesome. And then I have a question here. Feeder program club for the basketball program, Red Raiders, or is that, are we at the, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of our coaches that coach our freshman and JV levels, they coach on the Cal Red Raiders AAU team. They normally practice out of our gym. Haven't been able to because of the construction and everything going on, but it's normally, especially when it gets to a high school level, that's what our athletes usually play. It's not an official feeder program, but most of our coaches do coach on that team, and that's where we get most of our basketball players from. But that's not the only one. There's several AAU teams that our guys come from. That's just one that is most known. That's just within our program.
Great stuff. I wanted to take a moment. Chris Marshall, who we played soccer together when we were here, which was awesome. But you also went on to play a couple of sports in college. You got some lacrosse helmets in the back there. What did it mean to wear to wear the Jesuit jersey at Jesuit? And what did you learn in not only developing as an athlete, but as a sportsman, going on to that next level? Maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really great experience being able to play sports at Jesuit. I played soccer all 4 years, ran track all 4 years. And I mean, just to speak to the brotherhood and what it meant to be on those teams, I still play with guys and train with guys that I played with at Jesuit. One of my best memories was playing in a Newport Beach co-ed league with another alum, Scott Davis, class 2003, and we wore white jerseys in the game, and we both showed up in our Jesuit uniforms from high school to the game unplanned because we knew it was winning time, and we won the championship. So I was excited about that. But also it's deeper than that. I mean, the relationships you create with the coaches and your teammates. Last night I had dinner with my track coach. He'll be back on campus this year, Coach Fairchild, which I'm excited about. I've had Coach Rose over for dinner many times as well, and I had the opportunity to volunteer for the different teams, different soccer teams last year. And like Matt mentioned, I went on to compete in 3 sports collegiately. I played football, soccer, and lacrosse. I was a kicker, but I was still on the team. Had 3 tackles, and but it's I mean I was prepared from day one when I got on campus in college, based on all of the training, not only with the athletics, but also with the sportsmanship and what the amount of pride that the alumni and the students have for wearing Jesuit across your chest. And, you know, I think at the other part too, it's the players, when you're on the team, they understand how important it is. And if there's a player who's out of line, then the team will be there to help them, to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So, I mean, it was some of my most cherished memories being on campus playing as a student athlete at Jesuit, and something that definitely prepared me not only for future athletics, but for life.
Absolutely. I myself played on the soccer team, won a national championship in 2004, and it was more than just competing. I love to compete and competed outside of Jesuit, athletics, but it was the brotherhood. It's friendships you make for life, and just the connections. For some of the folks that have, the common thread through a lot of these sessions is that you come in, you may not know a lot of people, you leave with like brothers for life, whether it's competing at a high level, learning how to be a good sportsman, the character involved, and competing to win. I mean, the section championships and national championships speak for themselves, but it's also being a great representative of Jesuit High School and the legacy and the guys like Chris and I that have come before that love to see our teams compete. So as we're here moving past our 30 minutes, Hank, do you have anything left for our families? Any notes of athletics? I'd say plenty of opportunities to connect about athletics. This is just the start of this is built into the admissions part of everything that we're doing, but I do want to create more opportunities to talk about athletics, to get to all the questions. Anything to kind of close this thing up here?
Yeah, I'll say this is just to all of our freshmen, 8th graders, freshmen next year. I'll say this is a time where just engaging with your teams. I know opportunities are limited, but that doesn't mean that you can't go out on your own and go run by yourself, go train with one friend, whatever it is. You know, there are opportunities for you to take advantage of this time and work on yourself from a mental standpoint in terms of understanding your sport, but also from a physical standpoint for yourself of going out. And just because you might not have a team that's playing right now due to all of our circumstances, it doesn't mean you individually can't go out and push yourself and go work out and do some skill work. You know, I really challenge, it's a unique time, and really all of our student athletes during this time have done a great job of engaging with themselves and figuring out what to motivate them. And so I get a little challenge to all of you is, hey, you can do the same. you can get creative in how you're training, so that when everything is back up and running, you'll be able to hit the ground running.
Awesome stuff. And I just have this one last question that I really liked. And I'm thinking of Coach Blanton. I'm thinking of Coach Patolny. How do you continue to incorporate the Catholic faith into your athletics? I think that's a great extension of that. Could you speak to like what Coach Blanton and Coach P and some of the coaches do to continue the mission of what Jesuit is through our athletic program?
Yeah, all of our coaches do a really good job of engaging, whether it's having a chapel before a game on a Friday, or bringing our Jesuit priests in for a prayer prior to games, or just talking about faith during practice and in terms of development. In terms of our athletic program as a whole, I talk about our 5 pillars. Our 5 pillars of faith, which is faith, academics, integrity, truth, and humility. Those 5 things really speak volumes to what our athletes are, and and it's really important for all of our programs to succeed and develop the whole person. And really, from a Catholic identity standpoint, is engaging with our students, not just once or twice, but continually engaging with them throughout their time here.
And I had one last thing too that I wanted to add. And obviously we talked about the cut and then the non-cut sports, and it's a story about a guy that was in my class, Austin Ramos, Matthew's cousin, and he didn't make the JV soccer team, and he ended up going out for cross country that year as a sophomore, and became one of the best runners in the history of a very storied running program here, and went on to run at UCLA and to be a professional runner. And I just, for kids that are looking in and looking at the success that we had, don't get discouraged. If you want to compete, there is a home for you, there is a team for you, and there's a place for you here at Jesuit. And don't get discouraged. We want you to compete and be a part of these teams, and there's a place for you if you want to play.
Well said, and a great place to end this session. I'd say again, I'm going to reiterate again, we're going to do starting not this next week, but the next week, we're going to be starting some info sessions, which will be held on Thursday, and I'll be sending out information on those sessions. And those are going to be topic specific. The first one on the 29th will be regarding tuition assistance. But then we will have an info session again with Hank and maybe some of our coaches and athletes in the future. We'll be speaking to some alumni in another one. We'll be speaking to current Jesuit and St. Francis students in another one, academics. So those will be an hour long, so we can dive into the weeds a little bit more, get some more questions answered, and I'll be sure to send that out via email when those are coming up. And you can also find that information on our website under admissions, under info sessions. And so stay tuned there for more questions. It's a great opportunity to meet Hank, who does wonderful things with all of our students to prepare them not only to compete in high school, but beyond, and to show that good character in the Jesuit spirit and what it means. I want to thank Hank for being here today, and for our attendees. Our next session is going to start at 2 p.m. It's going to be about our VPA programs, Visual and Performing Arts, with the director of VPA, Leah Heine, and the director of music and band, Don Cargile. So I look forward, thank you for being here for this session, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. That's it. Thanks a lot, Hank.
Thanks, everybody.